broadcasting live from North Nashville, Tennessee. North Nashville spans from Metro Center down to the border of Bicentennial Mall, including the neighborhoods of Bordeaux, Buena Vista, Parkwood Estates, Germantown, Haynes Manor, Jefferson Street, Fisk Park, Cumberland Gardens, Oak Valley, Enchanted Hill, and many others. It's perhaps best known for the 3 universities housed here, including Tennessee State University, Fisk University, and Meharry Medical College. North Nashville is also home to the Tennessee Titans practice facility. The Tennessee Titans will begin construction on an expansion project at St. Thomas Sports Park, which will almost double its current footprint in Nashville's Metro Center neighborhood. The plan includes 60,000 square feet in additions, including a new building situated along one of the practice fields, and major renovation of spaces within the existing 75,000 square foot building.
Now live from North Nashville, Dr. William Head. Let's talk about it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It on NorthNashvilleTV.com. We've encountered some significant technical difficulties that the boss man has overcome now, and we're back on the air. The first thing is the tragic passing of Mr. Malcolm Jamal Warner, who at 54 drowned in a vacation accident. I have not found out where he was or what the circumstances were, but my greatest sympathies and condolences to the family of this young man who endeared himself to us all on the Cosby Show as Theo. We watched Theo grow up with Bill Cosby as his father, and his mother, I cannot recall her name as much as I liked her acting. Here we are, 20 days after flooding struck as we the people, the backbone of our country, loyal to a fault, celebrated the birth of a nation, while out in the hills of Texas, Kerr Countyans slumbered in their beds after a full day of Texas hot barbecue, cold beer, friendly interactions, unaware of the abnormally heavy rains higher in the Texas Hill Country, when suddenly, without warning, remember that, without warning, they were inundated by the raging Guadalupe River as it ravished everything and everybody in its path. Death and destruction knows no discrimination. Kerrville and Fredericksburg and other Texas communities were inundated by water estimated to have been 3 stories high, 23 to 35 feet high, behind which, by the count, there are now 136 deaths that occurred without any warning. Any warning. How does that happen in this day of technology and information structure and the information highway? How does a community get completely blindsided by something that could have been avoided? No warning in a place called Flash Flood Alley. one would expect an area so widely known for flash floods would have had a plethora, big word, a lot of warning devices and equipments. Sirens, plentiful enough to be heard almost universally. No, they didn't have that. Just the simple sirens on the poles. In-house weather radios that scream out a warning that can't be ignored. They didn't have weather radios. When I lived in Arkansas, the state required all the folks in the city to have weather radios. These people did not have them. Cell phone warning alerts specific to the area. No, they didn't have that. National Weather Service TV programs interrupting warnings. No, nobody's TV viewing was disturbed. The question then becomes, why not? The National Weather Service needed a supervisor to approve the dispatch of weather service personnel. Nobody was interested in going against the grain that had been established of late of firing people. So anybody could have made the decision, but nobody wanted to chance getting fired. That's what you get when you have an authoritarian situation. People will sit and watch the building burn down because they're not sure if they really want to get up and be counted. What about the weather-triggered sirens? Where were they? Lying on some career bureaucrat's desk, and as the 13th item on the next county commissioners meeting because of money concerns and priorities. What about the cell phone warning system? The area has too few towers to support the system completely. Some places get low or even no reception. You understand that. As you drive, you find yourself in dead areas on the interstate between towers. Can you imagine a whole area having that issue with a major flood coming down on them? At first light, when valiant local first responders and local residents began to come to the aid of their fallen neighbors and friends, recovering the stranded and injured, and recovering the bodies of the dead. Bodies of 27 little girls who went to sleep with tomorrow on their minds at the Mystic Summer Camp. To wake up, not at all. The local police, county sheriff, rescue units, elements of Texas Rangers worked feverishly Saturday and Sunday, diligently to rescue the living and inform families of the deaths of 136 of their family members, loss of children, loss of parents, loss of loved ones. But where was FEMA? FEMA always to the rescue. Now you folks up in East Tennessee and North Carolina have already suffered through FEMA's lack of diligence and expertise since the budget was cut so deeply. Now we've got another major flood. Now, let me say, I'm only talking about the floods in Texas, but there were floods all up and down the East Coast, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. So this is not a singular, solitary thing. There were a number of locales and cities that were damaged heavily by flooding with little help. But where was FEMA? Waiting for Secretary Noem to put her 2-gallon head into a 10-gallon hat and to put on just the right pair of Texas boots, because nothing over $100,000 could be initiated without her signature. By now, we're very used to incompetence. The saddest part of this entire episode of ill preparedness, incompetence, lack of expertise didn't happen in the state of Texas. It happened in the hallowed halls of the U.S. Congress, where rescission of billions of dollars for NPR, National Public Radio, was passed by the Republican-dominated House of Representatives and the Senate, that will shut down the only mass media in many rural areas, privately owned TV stations, privately owned radio stations that serve rural communities across the nation. Then they trotted out Ted Cruz with the BS about your loss. Well, we could have thrown out a lot of warnings and stopped this and moved that, but that would have slowed the progress of business. Dollars over lives. These are people you elected who live and work in Texas. Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee. All the Republican representatives and senators, other than Mike Fitzpatrick and Mike Turner of Ohio, Mr. Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, voted for the cut in PBS. They have to have your vote to get elected. They're the guy who sits in the pew 2 rows in front of where you sit, who you're buying your home owner's insurance and auto insurance from, whose son dates your granddaughter, who has no regard for the citizenry of Texas. Texas knows how to get these folks' attention, don't you, Texas? And Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia and Tennessee, all these red states, all these Republican representatives and senators who you elect are the ones who have let you down totally. They've become a rubber stamp for the executive administration of this country, which means democracy is defeated at every turn, because those elected to protect democracy have no cojones. A word from our sponsors.
Hello, my name is Glenn Carter. I'm the owner here at Carter's Family Florist. We've been serving over Nashville and Middle Tennessee for the last 25 years. We do flowers for all occasions. We do weddings, funerals. We send flowers out of town. I have a host of plants, cassandra for the prom, a dozen roses at Valentine, a dozen roses for Mother's Day. We do balloons, fruit baskets, and things of that nature, and we do deliver. So always come to Carter's Family Florist when you're in need of your flower needs. Address is 1822 26th Avenue North. That's Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. My phone number is 615-256-3777. Thank you for choosing Carter's Family Florist.
Are you looking for a way to successfully advertise your business or ministry? Look no further than North Nashville's online TV station. Our platform gives you the opportunity to showcase your business or ministry to a wide range of viewers. With our advertising service, you get access to creative professionals who can help spread your message and reach potential customers in a cost-effective manner. We understand the importance of creating an impactful advertisement, and we are committed to helping you achieve your goals.
Wade's Lawn Service is your one-stop solution for all your outdoor needs. We offer comprehensive residential and commercial lawn care, expert landscaping and design, professional fertilization, leaf blowing, and seasonal maintenance services. Our team of skilled professionals will transform your outdoor space into a stunning oasis, boosting your property's curb appeal and value.
Hello, my name is Deborah Wade, and this is my husband, Ira Wade, and we are here at Wade's Lawn Service, located at 1215 Louisville Highway.
Don't let lawn care stress you out any longer. Visit www.wadeslawnservice.com or call us at 615-766-8347 today to experience the difference of a well-maintained, beautiful lawn without the hassle.
And we're back with our special guest today, Dr. Forrest Harris, President Emeritus of American Baptist College. Good afternoon, Doc. How are you?
I am fine. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. You have been the president at American Baptist College for a number of years. Tell people who you are and what brought you to the point of the presidency at American Baptist.
Well, it's a rich history as it relates to how I got to Nashville. First, I came as a student seeking the Master's of Divinity and Doctor of Ministry degrees at Vanderbilt Divinity School. And after being a student at Vanderbilt, I was called to minister at a church in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Oak Valley Baptist Church, while I was a compliance officer for the Atomic Energy Commission. I was a compliance officer responsible for holding government-owned contractor-operated facilities accountable for what we would call then Executive Order 11246, making sure that they were in compliance with equitable distribution of employment and resources to the communities. And while I was in Oak Ridge, at this church, I had the sense of urgency as it relates to the spiritual calling that I experienced at the time, coming out of the black church tradition in Memphis, Tennessee, Spring Hill Baptist Church, that never really left me. And I felt the need to respond to that urgency in my spirit and resign that government post. I was a GS-13 at the time. And I had graduated from Knoxville College already worked at the Atomic Energy Commission, Energy Research and Development Administration for about 10 years, resigned that to retool, and I came to American Baptist College to retool in theology and biblical studies. And after doing that, I went back to Oak Ridge and was pastor of Oak Valley Baptist Church for 10 years before coming to Nashville, being offered a position at Vanderbilt to direct their Black Church Studies program. That's how I initially got to Nashville. Mm-hmm. And while at Vanderbilt and directing the Black Church Studies program, the college that I attended, American Baptist College, ended up searching for a president. And some of the alumni, like Dr. Julius R. Scruggs and Dr. Walter Malone, and others who knew me, Dr. Johnny Flakes from Columbus, Georgia, felt that I should consider it. And at the time, American Baptist College had been previously president of the college was Bernard Lafayette, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, who was prominent in the civil rights movement. And I came there at a time where the school was at the point of tremendous progress, but also significant challenges. So that's how I got to Nashville, and that's how I got to American Baptist College.
You mentioned the college being at a point of a great deal of success while also clawing through some major challenges. For people who don't know what it takes to run a university, if you don't run anything but the physical plant, everybody thinks when you say $1 million, that's a lot of money. But when you've got 8 or 10 buildings running 24/7 and faculty and staff and all the other things that go with it, $1 million doesn't go a heck of a long way.
Yeah, you are so right. When I came to American Baptist College in 1999, it faced serious deficits in terms of unrestricted funding to support the academic operations of the school and support students, student services, deferred maintenance as it relates to the buildings that we used. So all those challenges were before us, as well as keeping the college's mission at the forefront of what we decided to do and how students expected to be educated. And we were able to bring together support for the college at that time through challenges and struggles that we did not anticipate, but nonetheless were able to overcome. And you're so right, there is much more to the effective fulfilling of a college's mission that requires fiscal support and transformative leadership as it relates to how to keep a college moving forward to fulfill its mission.
And a lot of people don't realize that when you talk about keeping your household going and doing the things daily that you do to keep home and self together, when you multiply that by the number of square feet of building space you have and the number of students that you have and all of those things that are day-to-day expenses, and then you have a major problem that needs to be addressed immediately. It is a tedious job. The moment you think you've got it sort of under control, something leaks out the other side. Having worked on HBCU campuses for 40 years, I have seen it, been a part of it, fought to correct things, and like you said, even those things that come at you out of the clear blue, you have to deal with them right then and there. You have been very successful in being respected for your honesty, integrity, and your intent for the institution. What do you think is your greatest asset, human asset, that you bring to that job that makes you that trusted individual?
That's a very insightful question and inquiry after 26 years at American Baptist College and 35 years at Vanderbilt. The thing that has been at the forefront of my commitment is to bridge the academy and the church so that the two could collaborate and understand what higher education, theological education means for training leaders and preparing leaders so that they can be agents of change, agents of justice, and how to lead people in ways that liberate and help the community flourish. That's how I've seen my work at American Baptist College and as a professor and theological educator at Vanderbilt. And staying with that mission and the way in which it calls for you to make particular sacrifices on behalf of that mission is what has shaped, I think, my being able to be at ABC in these places for these many years and the accomplishments that have come as a result. At American Baptist College, for example, you've got a combination of students who have had limited experiences as it relates to education, limited resources, but they come with unlimited potential for leadership development. So how do you help keep a school open and viable for those students who show up, who have a sense of calling, who has a sense of searching for what it is that their life's vocation might mean, and to provide them with the kind of educational environment that will help them discover what their vocation might be, whether it's preaching or pastoring, which has been the niche of American Baptist College over the years since we were founded in 1924 by the National Baptist Convention and the Southern Baptist Convention. National Baptist Convention, predominantly black, and Southern Baptist, predominantly white, came together in 1924 for that very purpose, to train rural clergy and prepare them to be effective leaders in the community. I don't think the National Baptist Convention nor the Southern Baptist Convention had a strong sense that history would use American Baptist College in that mission to prepare ministers to participate in the civil rights movement. And that history still looms large in our perspective of bringing education and justice together for the purpose of community transformation. So we've tried to stay true to that. And if there's any integrity that you just pointed out as it relates to my leadership, is to see the consistency of the college's programs and what we have attempted to do in the community toward that end, with the goal of producing students who could carry on that vision of ministry and that vision of social justice.
One of the things that your administration points up in my mind is how important it is that a university maintains a line of purpose and mission and the central idea of education with a purpose, not just education for the sake of education, but education with a purpose. The consistency of the leadership makes that happen, because once you get started in a single direction, it's easy for the driver to continue driving. But every time you change drivers, you change roads. You go over a hill that you didn't intend to go over. And that curtails the progress of the university. Would you say that would be true?
Yeah, I think that's true in terms of American Baptist College. As I indicated earlier, Dr. Bernard Lafayette was president prior to my becoming president. And prior to him, there were other presidents who had a commitment to what social justice, freedom, and education meant for the participation of the church in the life of people. And that has been the consistent thread that has guided American Baptist College in terms of its mission to educate and prepare people for Christian service and social justice in the world. And that consistency continues to push and drive the curriculum and vision of American Baptist College, as I have been there for 26 years, and now proud and honored that the Board of Trustees have given me the emeritus status as president for the service that we rendered. But I am convinced that the new leadership, right now under the direction of the interim president, Dr. Derrick Jackson, as they search for a permanent president, will continue to have social justice, equity, advocacy, and leadership as the lens that it sees itself as a higher education institution. And I think that's important. You mentioned education with a purpose. I think that's a good way to say it. Education plus justice is our way of seeing it, and that's the purpose of keeping them together, because we need leaders, we need students, we need people we can produce to go into our communities, into the nation, and provide political leadership, educational leadership in various locations that need the understanding of what justice means, what love means, what it means to be a transformative agent in our community, something that is seriously needed today.
And as we look at the consistency of leadership, the telling part is that once you can get yourself aimed at a particular target and maintain that aim, the acquisition of the target becomes much easier than when you dart off to the right or the left, or expend most of your arrows in different directions than where you first started. And I think the consistency of leadership at American Baptist, like you said, with Dr. Lafayette, who was a pillar of the community, and for you to walk in there and fall into his footsteps and have the same dedication to the proposition was important.
Yes, I think so, and it's important not only for what the college has meant in the history of the nation and the movement. It played a profound history, it played a profound part of the history in Nashville, transforming it from a segregated downtown to an inclusive Nashville. And in the nation, as students from American Baptist College, like John Lewis and C.T. Vivian and others, went on to participate in Dr. King's larger civil rights movement. But we can continue to romanticize that history. We must make that history come alive in the light of the challenges and political challenges our communities face today. And that's what education we are providing at American Baptist College seeks to do today, is to continue to create the environment for people to come to that school and the educational curriculum that prepares them for effective leadership. And at the center of that leadership is what justice means and liberation means, what love means as it relates to the gospel for those who go into the life of the church, and for those who don't go into the life of the church, what it means for how you become transformative agents in the community. James Lawson would remind us, as he taught our students and prepared them for the nonviolent movement, is that we still are caught up in a period of what he called plantation capitalism and poverty and militarism and sexism and racism, the things that continue to plague this nation. And we need to train leaders, equip leaders theologically and ethically how to face those challenges as they appear today. They don't appear in the same way they appeared in the 1960s and even before that time, but they have resurrected themselves in forms that really challenges this nation's sense of democracy. And I'm thinking that that's why our school, HBCU, American Baptist College, and other HBCUs are important in training leaders for the future.
I'll get a little closer to home. Matter of fact, I'll get right in the middle of downtown. Nashville has this, as you mentioned a few moments ago, a romanticized civil rights history. Great folks like Dr. Lafayette, Dr. Lawson, John Lewis, who all were touched by your institution, are among the pantheon of civil rights leaders in the Southeast. So we find ourselves in a Nashville that is still very much strided by color, race, sexual orientation, female rights to do what they want to do with their bodies, their reproductive rights. I find the aura around the city to be anti just about anybody that is not a white male. Can you, I don't know whether you want to speak on that or not, but I'm feeling that.
Well, Dr. Head, I think you're referring to a cultural climate that continues to perpetuate old problems of race, sexism, old problems of classism and isolation of people based on difference, that has been at the center of this nation's struggle as they have amended the Constitution, as they have struggled, as people have protested, people have died, people have given their lives to make America better. As Dr. King's Christian Leadership Conference, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, had as a theme to redeem the soul of America. And we're still in that struggle, and we still are challenged to represent the best of what democracy might mean if it will honor justice and human flourishing for all people. And that is where we've got to have thinking, trained leaders, transformative thinking, ethical leaders who do not use politics for in a way that makes for more toxic division and hatred and political isolation, and the resources that come with a commitment to justice. And I think that's where our college, American Baptist College, is focused and really wants to be able to make an impact in the areas of change. And that's where it's important for us to continue to focus in our mission. Some of these issues that you alluded to, the specifics of them are very complex. And we don't have time, I'm sure, on this show to talk about all the complexities that relate to white supremacy, white male privilege or whiteness, and all those things as it relates to the way in which we see public policy, policy violence that is going on with the current government. But we do know that unless there is a voice that stands for truth and willing to speak that truth and willing to live on behalf of that truth, not only at the national level, but at grassroots levels, and helping people come to see the power in their voice and the power of their organization, of themselves and communities, and the churches to advocate for change. That's where American Baptist College seeks to do its work with students. And I'm looking forward to what that means as we continue under the new administration at American Baptist College.
In this day of transactional leadership, quid pro quo, tell me what you want, pay me what I need, and you'll get it. The Protestant spirit that inundated the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s seems to have fallen under the spirit of what's in it for me. Do you find that to be a prominent issue as you try to seek social justice and the uplifting of all people, not just some people?
Yeah, I think, Dr. Head, that rugged individualism and profit motives, profit over people, the way in which policy violence is taking place as it relates to the passage of what they call the Big Beautiful Bill, that strips resources away from the least of people in the nation who are dependent upon health care and assistances to balance the deficit of the nation on the backs of the poor, and to make it more difficult for people to get to a level of quality of life because of the spending habits and the wealth gap that we see in our nation, I think is an ethical, moral issue that the nation will continue to pay a real serious price as it relates to what we call democracy. And in this age of misinformation, or the way in which truth is elusive and the way facts are changed in order to be convenient for those who are in power, we will continue to see a deterioration of what it means to be a community for the common good. And James Lawson referred to plantation capitalism. I think what he meant by that is that it's a continuous exploitation of the community, or the poorest people in the community, or the middle class, or people who are struggling to make it day to day. That's a continued burden that is placed on their backs to do what this nation thinks it needs to do. And it's important for us to begin to educate people as it relates to how this is playing out in their local politics and in their local challenges as they seek to have families and have viable resources and jobs.
The big ugly bill has the potential to create a great mortality rate as people in rural communities cannot get the basic health needs that they have. The rural hospital or the county hospital is becoming a place for ivy to grow on the outside and mold on the inside, as nothing goes on there anymore because there are no funds. And as you say, those people in those rural communities are the ones who are going to experience the sting of not being able to get to a healthcare center fast enough to keep someone from dying from a heart attack, a stroke, or an injury. It is beyond criminal that you would put the greatest portion of the people in the country in that position, because there's far more rural areas than urban areas. And all of this that is going on is robbing the people in those rural areas of basic fundamental services guaranteed under the Constitution.
Yeah, I think that's an appropriate insight. For some reason, we have established in this nation the idea that it's the poor, it is the poor, those persons who are struggling to have life, quality life, as the burden or the problem of the nation's deficits or the nation's expenditures, is $1 trillion deficits. And to balance the budget on the backs of the poor is what I think a lot of people have come to see as what you just described as criminal. And that needs not to happen and need not to be the case. And I think there is enough moral voices in Congress. There are enough moral voices in the country. There are enough moral voices in the churches and in the average citizen to make sure their vote comes to count against that kind of way in which this country seems to be going as it relates to what we have seen happening as these policy violence and bills are passed against the flourishing of people's lives. And as you just indicated, there will be more deaths and more mortalities as a result of people not having access to the services they need. And that's going to be unfortunate.
In that this state, as I mentioned it last week on my last podcast, this state is 51st out of 50 in maternal mortality. We lead the world in maternal mortality in the state of Tennessee. Yet we have the nerve to cut off Medicaid, send money back to the federal government. It is, if it is not criminal, it is approaching it so close that it can feel the breath of one another. They can feel the breath of one another, and I find that to be completely unacceptable. Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I agree. Related to education and American Baptist College, as we've been talking for the last several minutes about the larger political issues, economic issues that impact the communities that the students we train will serve, we have to do a better job, a more effective job, and theologically, ethically, sociologically, educating people to help them navigate the civic landscapes that affect the constituencies that they serve. And that's a goal of American Baptist College, as well as help them to be entrepreneurial in terms of what and how equitable economic opportunity might look like, and how they can serve small businesses, how they can create opportunities themselves. We can no longer continue to expect that what we can do in our communities for ourselves, to expect government to do it for us. We can no longer expect that unless we take seriously the resources that we can control within our community, the resources that we can build to accumulate wealth, to be smart with what it means to be economically viable entities in our community, how we collaborate together, how we pull together our resources to create better communities and better access for our people. There's a lot that we can do, and to be creative and imaginative in our collective economics, our self-determination, and our creativity, so that we can pass on to the next generation a better way to exist in this environment, in these environments. And that's what I think is so wonderful about HBCUs, is that that's what we're doing from all of the vantage point of different diverse vocations, all the ways in which we train people to be successful in this country, to build their families and so forth. But one of the things that's so important is how do we educate them to be transformative agents in the areas that they choose. And I'll go back again to what it means as it relates to what I've done over the last 26 years at American Baptist College and in Black Church Studies at Vanderbilt, is to align that ethic, that love ethic, that social justice core to the way in which people see themselves in the world, where they don't continue to perpetuate and be complicit, sometimes without knowing it, with this country's Christian nationalism, or with this country's greed about profit over people. We've got to continue to focus on how we change the community by changing the way we see our own power and our ability to make a difference.
I couldn't agree with that any more than I do. It is absolutely essential that we go back to the epoch of Jim Crow, because where we are going now with this administration is back into Jim Crow. And we as a people must start now to pull ourselves together and get back into community with one another and find our roots in all the things that we can produce and produce them, and all the services that we can render and render those. We've got to become more of a monolithic group, and all of our time in this country, we've always been pointed to as what one black leader might say was what everybody would follow. We are not at that point now, but we do need to come together at some point in our economic viewpoint and put ourselves first. You mentioned HBCUs, and we said we were going to talk about the challenge to HBCUs. I think everything we've talked about presents a challenge to everything that is of black origin, black operation, or black aspiration. But HBCUs have always represented that one element, excuse me, that took us out of poverty and squalor as we got better educated and became professionals. Where are we as HBCUs at this point in your mind?
Well, historically, black colleges and universities, at the origin of their emergence in American educational system, was to commit themselves to a population that had been almost totally discarded, or population that had been given so many social deficits and in the midst of a struggle for their humanity, and to train them to be effective citizens, effective persons in the way in which they could contribute to their livelihood, and to their communities. That was the original purpose for HBCUs, is to educate and make education accessible to that community. And it has, over the years since those colleges were first founded, made a profound contribution to the nation and to the people who came through their halls. And we can just list over much the number of people that have gone on and contributed to this nation as a result of HBCUs and what HBCUs have contributed. And that needs not to be underestimated. It needs to be highlighted. It needs to continue to be at the forefront of the nation's understanding of why HBCUs is their history, but HBCUs in our future is still essential and important. And if we can have HBCUs themselves come to collaborate and share that vision in a way of what we have learned and what history has taught us about the challenge, we can yet in the future even be more of a viable entity in this nation. Right here in Nashville with American Baptist College, Fisk University, Tennessee State University, and the Harvard Medical College, it's a profound resource, a profound collection of educational power and resources that have made a profound difference in the country. And we need to just continue to work in those ways with each other through collaboration. Matter of fact, as I listened to the commercial or the introduction of your show, Let's Talk About It, I didn't see American Baptist College highlighted among the HBCUs.
It was. I don't know what happened to it.
Well, you need to get it back in there.
We will. Cedric just turned and looked at me and said, "I don't know how that happened, but I know at every other show we've ever done with that introduction, it had all four institutions in it, and I was just what happened." But we will make sure that happens before we do another show.
Right. So in terms of HBCUs, what I am so proud and excited about is that American Baptist College now stands in a position for a strong future. And as a result of what people believe I was able to accomplish with a lot of people during my 26 years there, because nothing is achieved that's going to last for long without a collection of people's gifts and talents that came to bear on those accomplishments. The Board of Trustees have decided not only to give me this emeritus status to continue to relate to the purpose and mission of American Baptist College, but it established a Legacy of Leadership Fund as a sustainable fund for the future support of the mission of American Baptist College. And I was so humbled that they named that fund in my honor. And as the last event that honored my retirement leadership gala that was held at Meharry, I was able to announce, the Board of Trustees was able to announce that Leadership Legacy Fund has already raised about $1.2 million. And that is what we're going to have to do, is invest in ourselves, invest in our institutions, and certainly ask others to join our investment who believe in our mission. We don't need to continue to seek charitable support from people who don't believe in our mission but just want to be charitable toward our cause. We need persons to invest not in the institution for the institution's sake, but institutional investment because the mission is so important. The mission is so critical for the future generations that will come. If we can get our own people to believe in ourselves and invite others to join us in that mission, then we will create, I think, more donor support than we might realize. And some of our colleges are doing well. Fisk, Meharry, Tennessee State, across the country. There are people who are investing in the mission of these HBCUs beyond the federal Title III programs that we get, beyond all those other kinds of ways in which the state of Tennessee and others might support. We need to invest in our future, and we need to invest in people who otherwise might not have an opportunity and who otherwise will not be admitted to these major universities and colleges, now particularly since DEI is under attack, and particularly since there is an erasure, attempt of erasure of the history that we all know so well, and the history that ought not be the shame of a nation, but a history that informs us how the nation ought to be and how the nation has overcome so much of what made the nation not be what it can be. That's why HBCUs need to flourish, and that's why I think we need to invest in them. And I hope through your program and through what we're sharing now, many people will find a way to go out to our website at American Baptist College, abcnash.edu, and contribute to the Leadership of Legacy Fund so that we can have a sustainable resource for student scholarships, for academic programs, for faculty development, and the expansion of our facilities.
As many people that there are that embrace the Baptist Church, you should have absolutely no problem whatsoever getting done what you're getting done. I've got 2 or 3 things I'm going to say about HBCUs. HBCUs were established by white folks. All you young white men and women and kids who think we excluded you from our universities, you're off base. You're completely off base. We did not have money when we came out of slavery to establish anything. White people of great conscience were the folks who initiated these institutions and who continue to support it. So we were never segregated. We could never say that a white person could not come to Fisk University or Tennessee State University because our origins were with the state of Tennessee, the American Missionary Society, all of these organizations that saw fit and saw the need for educating black folks. A few statistics: 40% of all engineers, black engineers in the country, come from HBCUs, and we only educate 8.9, 10% of black engineers. 50% of lawyers and doctors come from HBCUs. 70% of dentists. 70%. Why? Because Meharry has a great dental program. Howard has a great dental program. It is amazing. 80% of sitting judges of color are HBCU graduates. And we do not and have never discriminated against people of any race. Doc, if you got one last thing you would like to share with the audience, what would it be?
Well, let me congratulate you on Let's Talk About It and your continued progress as you have good open discussion about important issues facing our communities and facing our nation. And
Thank
I
you.
congratulate you on your program.
Thank you.
I am humbled and grateful to American Baptist College for the opportunity to have served it for these years and to be included among the legacy that now is continually being perpetuated, the legacy that I think should always have its story told. And American Baptist College has an untold story. People just don't know about us. And we're going to tell that story. It has unending challenges, and we're going to continue to face those challenges. But what I'm excited about is its unlimited future. Its unlimited impact that it could have. So thank you for having me on, and I wish you well as you continue to have these Let's Talk About It episodes. And please support the Legacy Fund of American Baptist College.
And we will certainly press the Legacy Fund, and we would love to be a part of American Baptist telling its story. Thank you for being with us, Doc.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching Let's Talk About It on NorthNashvilleTV.com, the voice of the voiceless. Keep the faith.